Today we are going to be repairing the SolarForce using our maintenance kit. In this video, we're looking at the 3040 SolarForce. Talk to your Dancock dealer to ensure you're selecting the correct maintenance kit for your serial and model number. We sell a long-term parts kit which includes all the mechanical parts of the pump, crankshaft side, and water box side. We sell a seal and belt kit which has the internal parts of the crankshaft side and the belts. We also sell the water box repair kit, which has all the wear parts inside of the water box. This is a video explaining how to replace these parts from the water box repair kit. Here we see the water box, which is broken up into 3 different parts. The top part being the air chamber, middle one being the water box assembly, and the bottom chamber is the suction chamber. More towards the middle of the SolarForce pump, you have your piston rod. On the end is your crankshaft assembly. Here is where the motor would typically be mounted and a 10-inch pulley mounted to the crankshaft. Ours has been removed for demonstration purposes. Tools that are needed to accompany this repair kit: a 7/16-inch wrench, a 9/16-inch wrench, a 3/4 inch wrench, a 3/4 inch socket, and the packing box wrench, which is included with every pump when you purchase. Now we are going to take the pump apart to access the pieces to replace. Step 1, we are removing the 3/4 inch hex bolt from the top of the air chamber. Remove the old gasket. A putty knife is our recommended best way to remove an old gasket that is stuck. Step 2, we will be removing another 3/4 inch nut on the bottom side of the pump. Remove this old gasket. Step 3 is to remove the leathers on the inside of the water box. Before we can get to the leathers, we have to remove the access door on the end of the water box. Using a 7/16-inch wrench, we can loosen these bolts. On the end of the cylinder is also a gasket that you now have to remove. Step 4, we're going back to the 3/4 inch wrench to unscrew the nut on the inside of the cylinder. Now we see the leathers. When removing these leathers, there are 2 sides in which they can come loose from. It doesn't matter which side it is. You never want to grab the piston rod with a tool while trying to loosen it. Once this portion is removed, then we can remove the water box away from the pump by using the 9/16 wrench. There are 4 bolts on the water box holding it in. Step 5 is to remove these. Once removed, we can remove the water box from the crank. An important note for those that are in a cooler climate and worried about freezing. We would recommend at the end of the year to pull this off and take it inside so you don't have to worry about any freezing problems. Now we're going to take a look at the parts, replace, and reassemble. Here we have laid out the water box completely disassembled minus the wear parts. These are the wear parts we will be replacing, along with the leather assembly seen here. Let's take a look inside the maintenance repair kit. We see 2 gaskets, 4 neoprene valve discs, a pair of leathers, a water box cover gasket, a packing kit, 4 valve springs, 4 cotter pins, and 4 washers. Step 1 in reassembly is to remove the old cotter pin. We recommend having a pair of needle nose pliers to do so. Pinch the cotter pins and pull through. Remove the washer and the cotter pin, valve spring, and the neoprene valve disc. Replace each one of these with a new one from the kit. Process for rebuilding starts by taking the neoprene valve disc, slipping it over the valve stem. Valve spring follows that, and on top goes the valve washer. Keep tension on the valve washer while inserting the cotter pin through the valve stem. Bend the cotter pin to keep everything in place. Step 2. Disassemble the current leather assembly. Back off the 3/4 inch bolt that passes through the entire assembly and a 3/4 inch nut. We will remove the leather, the washer, and the spacer. It is important to note the size difference between the spacer and the washer. We will now remove the second leather and the second washer. Now begin to reassemble the leather assembly. We are going to take one of the leathers and insert the washer inside. As shown here, the leather needs to face up with the cup facing the bolt head. Now we will push the leather on the piston follower. Follow that with the spacer in the middle. Take the second leather and insert the washer as we had shown before. The leathers should now mirror each other with the cup facing opposite. To finish the leather assembly, we're going to screw the nut back down to the piston follower. Step 4, we're going to focus on the packing kit, which is located in the water box assembly. Remove the packing box nut, followed by the packing sleeve. It is important to note the edge is only on one side of the packing sleeve. With those removed, we can access the packing kit itself to remove them. They may get mangled up when removing. This is normal. Step 5 is to reassemble, beginning with the packing material. You need to replace all 4 pieces or it will not create a seal. Sometimes they can be tough to push in. This is what the sleeve is for. Use the sleeve edge side up to assist in replacing the packing material. You'll know this is done correctly when the packing is flush. Follow this with the packing sleeve edge side up. Place the packing nut on top of the packing sleeve. A little force may be necessary to get the nut properly placed on top. Hand tighten for the time being. To recap so far, we've replaced the neoprene valve discs, the valve springs, the packing kit, and the leather assembly. Those are all the wearable parts, which means we can begin to reassemble the pump. We will start with the air chamber on top of the water box assembly. Notice that the valve springs line up with the air chamber on top. An important note, both water box gaskets are identical. There is not a right one to use in the top or the bottom. Place one gasket on top as shown here. The seal is created by compression of the bolt, meaning no sealants are needed unless your surface is marred enough where the seal wouldn't create. If your surface has become marred when cleaning the gasket off, our recommendation is to use a gasket maker. Now that the gasket is on top, we're going to install the air chamber on top of it. Pressure relief valve is on the opposite side of the packing box. Next, we will insert our bolt. We will hand tighten for now, then we're going to flip it around to do the other side. Next, we're going to reassemble the suction chamber, which is the bottom chamber. Just as the other gasket, you will place it on top. The 2 neoprene valve discs are going to be slotted inside of the larger holes of the water box assembly. Once stacked, insert the shorter of the 2 bolts. Hand tighten for the time being. Now that we have loosely assembled the water box and the crankshaft, we're going to insert the piston rod through the packing sleeve set. Next, we are going to secure the water box to the crankshaft with the 4 bolts. Once the water box is attached to the crankcase, we're going to install the leather assembly. Start by ensuring the piston rod is pushed as far forward as it can, moving the belt with the 10-inch pulley. Important to note that the piston rod follower is threaded. Now we're going to utilize the 3-inch piece to complete this assembly. An important note is that the 3-inch cylinder guide needs to be purchased separately from your maintenance kit. We're going to insert the leathers into the cylinder guide. Sometimes this can be challenging. If the leathers are opened, you'll have to work at least one edge in. Once you have that edge in, then you can slide it all the way through so we don't mar up the edges of the new leather. With a 3/4 inch socket, we're going to tighten these leathers back down to the piston rod. We recommend hand tightening with just the socket as we show here. Once the leathers are connected back to the piston rod, when we move the pulley, the leather should also move. Our next step is to reinstall the water box cover and water box cover gasket. This seal is also made with compression. No sealants are needed unless surface is marred, as we previously mentioned. As the water box cover gasket and the water box cover are installed, we can retighten the air chamber and the suction chamber with a 3/4 inch wrench. Tighten both bolts. The last thing we need to do is tighten the packing kit nut with the packing wrench. We will tighten this nut by hand until we can't tighten it anymore. Then we'll use the wrench to turn it 1/8 of a turn to compress the packing kit to the piston rod. Rebuildable cast iron is meant to last many seasons. We encourage people to rebuild, not throw them away. If you have any questions about which kit you would need to buy for yours, be sure to talk to your certified Dankoff dealer, either online or by calling them directly. They'll be sure to get you the parts you need. Dankoff Solar, an investment in your future.